2 weeks. That is all the time that separated these two women from their last battle. 14 days ago, Iva Jovic walked off court Philippe Chatrier at Roland Garros, having just dismantled her own doubles partner in straight sets. They embraced at the net. The crowd applauded, and anyone watching from the outside could have been forgiven for thinking the story between these two was finished. It was not finished, not even close, because the tennis calendar has done something almost cruel and thrown them back together at the HSBC Championships at Queen's Club in London. Different surface, different country, different conditions. Same two people. The same friendship that was already carrying the weight of one defeat now has to survive another match entirely. And this time, everything that decided the outcome in Paris has changed. Grass instead of clay. A surface that does not slow the ball down. A surface that does not give returners extra time. A surface that compresses everything and forces players to commit faster and punishes the wrong decision in a fraction of the time clay would allow. The question that nobody can answer right now is the one that makes this match unmissable. Can Alex Eala rewrite a story that Iva Jovic already finished once? And can she do it in 2 weeks on a completely different surface against a player who knows her game better than almost anyone on tour? To understand what is actually at stake in this match, you need to understand what each of these players brought to London and how they got here. Because the journeys are completely different, and those differences shape everything about what is going to happen on that grass court. Let us start with Eala, because her week before Queen's Club is the kind of form that makes preview writers nervous about being too conservative. She did not arrive in London drained from a difficult clay season. She did not arrive carrying the psychological weight of a heavy defeat that needed time to process. She arrived on a wave. The Lexus Birmingham Open, a WTA 125 event, and she was virtually unstoppable from the opening round. She destroyed Priscilla Hahn without breaking a sweat in a performance that was so clean and so controlled that it barely felt like a competitive match. She handled Elena Korneva in 2 straight sets. She cruised through the quarterfinals against Monika Soni with the efficiency of a player who has found the right rhythm on the right surface at the right moment. And then the semifinal against Rebecca Mazarova pushed her to 3 sets, pushed her into genuinely uncomfortable territory, and forced her to find something inside herself that comfortable wins do not require. She found it. She came back. She won. The final was where the story became something worth remembering. Her opponent was 5th seed Nikola Bardanova. Not a stranger. Not a player she had watched on video and prepared for from a distance. A practice partner. Someone who had prepared for her specifically, who knows her game from proximity rather than scouting, who understood her patterns at a level that opponents who have only watched footage cannot access. Bardanova took the first set 7-5. For a moment, the fairy tale ending that Birmingham had been building toward all week looked like it was going to belong to someone else. What happened next revealed something about Eala that her ranking does not show and that highlight packages do not fully capture. She did not panic. She did not tighten. She did not start playing the situation instead of playing tennis. She reset. She won the second set 6-3. She won the decider 7-5. First grass court title of her career. Second WTA 125 trophy overall. And when she spoke afterward, she said something that told you everything about where her head actually is. She said lifting this trophy does not mean I will be among the greats yet. One sentence. From a player who had just won a title in a 3-set final against a practice partner on a surface she had never won on before. The absence of satisfaction in that statement is the most interesting thing about it. This is a player who knows precisely where she stands and precisely how far she still has to go. And that clarity of self-assessment in a 21-year-old professional athlete is rarer than any trophy. But the Birmingham title was only the beginning of what Eala brought to London. Because 48 hours after that final, she walked onto the grass at Queen's Club for her first-round match against Zhang Shuai. Ranked 64th in the world, a seasoned veteran with years of tour experience, and the specific quality that experienced players carry in their first match on any surface, the ability to absorb an opponent's rhythm and find the vulnerability before the opponent has found her own level for the week. And immediately Eala fell behind. A breakdown. 2-0. The Birmingham momentum suddenly looked fragile. Like the tournament high might already be fading. Like the grass court confidence built across a full week of winning might not transfer to a harder draw at a higher level event. What happened instead changed the entire framing of this week. She broke back. She found her range behind a first serve that won 17 points in the opening set alone. In the ninth game, facing 3 break points, she held. She did not blink. She closed the set 6-3. The second set opened with chaos, 3 consecutive breaks, momentum swinging in a way that suggested the match could go anywhere. She won 4 of the last 5 games and finished 6-2. 6 consecutive wins on grass in 2026. Unbeaten on the surface all year. That streak is not built on brilliance alone. It is built on something quieter and more durable than brilliance. It is built on making the right decision at the right moment, over and over again, in different situations, under different kinds of pressure, until the pattern becomes belief. Until the surface stops feeling like something to manage and starts feeling like home. That is the player Iva Jovic faces in the round of 16. Now let us talk about Jovic properly, because her 2026 season is the kind of season that makes people stop and stare even before you get to the Roland Garros moment. She entered this year ranked 27th in the world, already carrying a WTA title she won in Guadalajara at 17 years old. 17. And then the Australian Open arrived. Seeded for the first time at a Grand Slam, she beat Katie Volinets, then Priscilla Hahn, then 7th seed Jasmine Paolini, then Julia Putintseva. 4 rounds deep at Melbourne Park. The youngest woman to reach the Australian Open quarterfinals in 19 years. 19 years. The number is not decoration. It is context for what Jovic is doing at 22 years old in her first season as a genuinely established professional. And then Aryna Sabalenka walked onto that court and handed her a 6-3, 6-0 demolition. And just like that, drawn in thick, unmistakable ink, was the gap between a remarkable tournament run and true elite status. She could see the ceiling. She had not reached it yet. That distinction between potential and arrival is where the interesting part of her story lives. What followed that Sabalenka match revealed the real texture of what Jovic is working with this season. Semifinals in Dubai. A deep run in Miami before Coco Gauff eliminated her in the 4th round. But also an early loss in Austin, a puzzling defeat to Camila Osorio at Indian Wells, and a first-round exit in Charleston. At 23 wins and 12 losses entering Queen's Club, her record looks solid on paper. But those 12 losses are not randomly distributed. They trace a specific pattern. Concentration lapses that arrive without warning in matches she has every technical reason to control. Moments where the level drops for a game or a set in a way that has nothing to do with the opponent's quality and everything to do with what is happening inside her own head. That is the vulnerability in Jovic's game right now. Not her shots, not her movement, not her tactical intelligence. Her ability to sustain the right mental state for the full duration of a match against players she is better than. And then Roland Garros arrived, and something shifted. She beat Eala in the first round. Then she erased Emma Navarro's 6-love, 6-3, a performance of such complete tactical dominance that it forced the tennis world to upgrade its assessment of what she is capable of on clay. Then she pushed Naomi Osaka to a 3rd-set decider in a match that swung wildly, went to tiebreaks, and only ended after every single point had been individually contested. She lost that Osaka match, but she did not break. And that distinction matters more than the scoreline, because a player who loses a brutal 3-set match to a Grand Slam champion without breaking is a player who is learning something in defeat that comfortable victories cannot teach. At Queen's Club in her first round, she beat Croatia's Antonija Ružić 6-3, 6-4. It was not spectacular. It was controlled and methodical. For a player who is still learning how to move on grass, still recalibrating the footwork that was built for clay courts and needs to be adjusted for a faster, lower-bouncing surface, a quiet professional win in round 1 might actually be worth more than a spectacular one. It means she is managing the surface rather than being managed by it. Now they meet again. And this is where the tactical conversation that will actually decide this match needs to be understood clearly, because the surface changes everything, and understanding how it changes everything is the difference between watching this match and genuinely seeing it. Alex Eala's serve is a documented weakness in her game, and the numbers make it undeniable. In 2026, she has committed 77 double faults against just 21 aces. Her second serve winning percentage sits at 47.2%. Almost every player she faces has seen these numbers. Almost every coach she faces has built a tactical plan around attacking her second ball. At Roland Garros 2 weeks ago, Jovic executed that plan as well as anyone has executed it all season. She won 21 first return points against Eala's 10. She made the serve the center of her entire tactical architecture, and Eala had no answer. The numbers from that match tell the story of a player who was systematically dismantled through a weakness that clay's conditions made especially exposed. But grass is not clay, and that is not a small distinction. That is the entire match. On clay, a weak second serve sits up. The higher bounce on clay brings the ball into the returner's optimal strike zone and gives her the extra fraction of a second needed to set her feet and drive through it. The rally extends. The server is punished repeatedly. The pattern that hurt Eala in Paris was not just about Jovic's quality as a returner. It was about what clay does to a vulnerable second serve. It amplifies the vulnerability. It makes the invitation explicit. On grass, the same second serve behaves differently in ways that fundamentally change the tactical equation. A well-placed first serve on grass skids and stays low. It compresses the returner's reaction window. It rewards placement over power. It punishes the returner who positions herself to take the ball early because the ball does not arrive at the height or on the timeline that clay would provide. Eala does not need to transform herself into a power server to neutralize Jovic's return game on this surface. She needs to locate corners. She needs to keep her first serve percentage above 60%. She needs to take away the lane that gave Jovic so much room in Paris. In the Zhang Shuai match this week, she did exactly that. 17 first serve points won in the opening set. A service hold under 3 break points in the 9th game that required real nerve in a real pressure moment. That kind of serving discipline on grass carries psychological weight that extends beyond the individual points it decides. Every clean service hold tells the opponent that the vulnerability she has been planning to exploit is less available than she expected. There is another dimension to this matchup that most of the analysis is missing entirely. Eala is left-handed and 5 feet 9 inches tall. On the advantage side of the court, a left-handed serve naturally swings away from a right-handed returner's forehand. It moves the ball in the direction that right-handed returners are least naturally equipped to handle from a body mechanics standpoint. On clay, the higher, slower bounce partially neutralizes this angle because the ball climbs back toward the returner's strike zone before she has to commit. On grass, that neutralizing effect disappears. The angle becomes genuinely dangerous on grass. It becomes especially dangerous against Jovic specifically because she positions herself slightly inside the baseline on return. That positioning is correct and effective on clay, where the extra time it buys her to take the ball early is a genuine advantage. On grass, it exposes her. It means that a serve that skids wider than she anticipates catches her moving in the wrong direction before she has time to adjust. The same positioning habit that was an asset in Paris becomes a liability in London. And then there is the serve and volley option, which Eala does not need to use often to make it matter. She moves well toward the net. She can follow her serve forward on the right points. She does not need to make it her primary tactic. She needs to do it enough, at the right moments, unpredictably enough, to plant a question in Jovic's mind that will not leave. Because a returner who is thinking about a possible net rush does not take the same full swing she took when she knew the server was staying back. The swing gets shorter. The commitment gets reduced. The aggression that defined Jovic's return game at Roland Garros gets slightly compromised by uncertainty. And on grass where margins are tight and momentum swings on 2 or 3 points, slightly compromised return aggression is enough to change the whole texture of a service game. The doubles partnership layered over all of this creates a psychological complexity that makes this match unlike almost any other match on the current tour calendar. These two women have stood at the net together in Auckland and at Indian Wells. They have watched each other serve under pressure from a distance of a few feet. They have been on the same side of the tactical conversation in competitive match situations, which means they have seen each other in ways that opponents who only watch video never see another player. Jovic knows where Eala goes on the deuce side when the game gets tight. Eala knows which body serve Jovic favors at advantage. They have been in each other's preparation in a way that creates a mutual intelligence that cannot be erased. And that intelligence does not level the playing field between them. It amplifies the advantage of whoever reads the other more precisely on the specific day when it matters. At Roland Garros 2 weeks ago, Jovic read everything. She read it comprehensively, and she executed against what she read with a precision that gave Eala no room to adjust in real time. The question is whether Eala can change enough in 14 days to disrupt the reading that Jovic has already done. Not change everything. Not become a different player. Change enough. Find enough variation in the right moments to create uncertainty in the mind of someone who left Paris believing she understood exactly what to expect. Jovic's path to winning this match is in some ways simpler, and simplicity is itself an advantage in a situation this psychologically loaded. She is ranked 14 places higher. Her game has genuinely improved across this season in measurable ways, with her serve reportedly gaining 10 miles per hour in pace over the past 12 months, and her backhand adding 6. If she pushes her first serve percentage towards 60 or 65%, she removes the tactical lane that gives Eala her best hope of controlling service games. If she defends her own serve without stress and waits patiently for Eala's second serve to appear and builds the same cross-court pressure that suffocated Eala across 2 sets in Paris, this match ends the same way it ended 14 days ago, just faster, and on a different color surface. The tactical blueprint already exists. It has already been tested. It already worked completely. The question is whether grass rewrites it or whether Jovic simply executes it again with the added confidence of a player who has already done it once. Here is where honesty requires acknowledging something that the numbers cannot measure. The time between Birmingham and this match was not enough for a complete tactical overhaul at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca. It was enough for something more targeted and more useful than a complete overhaul. It was enough to review the Roland Garros tape and isolate the moments where the surface, not the player, did the damage. Every rally that lasted 12 shots, because Clay kept the ball in play long enough for Jovic to redirect it. Every second serve that bounced into Jovic's strike zone instead of skidding through it. Every ball that sat up and waited to be attacked. Those moments can be identified and labeled clearly. And the label is not Eala's weakness. The label is Clay's contribution to Eala's weakness. Because the same serve that bounced into Jovic's strike zone on Clay skids through it on grass. The same rally that extended to 12 shots on clay ends at 6 shots on grass. The surface is not a neutral factor in this match. It is an active editorial force that rewrites some of what happened in Paris simply by being what it is. Eala does not need to become a new player on a grass court in London. She needs the surface to become a different editor of the same story. The winner of this match faces a probable quarterfinal against second seed Amanda Anisimova, the 2025 Wimbledon finalist. A completely different scale of challenge. A different kind of pressure. A different test. But neither of these women is thinking about Anisimova right now. They are thinking about each other. They are thinking about the 14 days between Roland Garros and Queen's Club and what those 14 days were able to change and what they were not able to change. They are thinking about the fact that they know each other's serves. They know each other's tendencies under pressure. They have sat in the same locker rooms and laughed at the same things and supported each other through losses that had nothing to do with either of them. And in a few hours they will walk onto a grass court in West London and try to beat each other as cleanly as possible. The friendship does not disappear when they cross the white lines. It becomes background, professional, compartmentalized in the way that elite athletes learn to compartmentalize the things that would otherwise make competition impossible. The grass does not care about any of it. It does not care about the doubles partnership or the Roland Garros result or the Birmingham trophy or the 14 days in between. It will do what grass always does. It will speed the ball up. It will compress the time. It will force both women to commit to their decisions faster than either of them would prefer, and it will punish the wrong decision in a fraction of the time Clay would allow. And in that compressed, unforgiving, completely honest environment, someone will find something they did not have in Paris. Some adjustment, some variation, some reading of the opponent that the other player did not see coming. Some moment at a critical score where one of them commits fully and the other hesitates just long enough to matter. The surface will not reveal which one that is until it happens. It never does. That is why they play the match. That is why 2 weeks of preparation, 2 weeks of tape review and tactical conversation and physical adjustment still cannot tell you the answer to the only question that actually matters. Which one of them walks off this grass court having rewritten the story? and which one walks off carrying the weight of a second version of the same ending.